the snowy weather makes everything look nice and white and pristine and clean, and it just looks lovely. But actually it's been very, very cold. If you're going to stay in a van at night time in this weather, you're going to need a diesel heater or some form of heating. Let me just show you where I've positioned the diesel heater in this Vauxhall Vivaro. It's Chinese diesel heater, 2 kilowatt, and it's actually underneath the driver's seat there, as you can see. The ducting from it is coming through and into this little box here that I made, and put the vent cowl on it. So that's where the heat is coming out of. And I'll just switch it on and show you that. So let's have a look and see what the temperature inside this van is at the moment. It's a digital display here. As you can see, we're 2.5 degrees. It's got a built-in memory on it. Highest temperature in here has been 21.3, and the lowest has been minus 6.4. So what we'll do now is we'll turn the diesel heater on and we'll see what kind of temperature we can get. Okay, put the power on. Let's see, it's a display. I don't know if you're hard to see with the light on in here. Light coming in and shining in through the window, but it's showing 2 degrees on its display, it's saying. So I've got it set there to 14 degrees. That's what I've got set at, and I can either switch this on manually just by pressing here, or I can use the remote. So let's press that, and there's the diesel heater starting to kick in now. What I'll get is the dosing pump will start. A little icon will come on to tell me that the dosing pump, that the fuel is actually pumping through to the diesel heater. And then just now the glow plug light is on, so that's telling you that the glow plug is heating up, and the little arrows at the bottom are telling you that the intake and the exhaust are working fine, and that the fan is actually turning, which I can hear it is. So I'll come back to you when that actually starts heating up. We're getting nice warm air coming out the diesel heater now. Put the hand down there. It's nice and warm. It's not its maximum temperature yet. The diesel heater is still warming up. We can see our temperature is starting to increase. We're now at 3.9 degrees. Under display. I have to see again with the light at the angle I'm at here, but showing 5 degrees. What we have there is we've all the coloured bars on the bottom there. 2 green, 2 yellow, 2 red. That shows that it's at maximum operating temperature now. And the glow plug light is off now. Now the dosing pump, when I first had it installed in this van, the dosing pump was making quite a ticking noise, a clicking noise, as it goes through its cycle and pumps the diesel fuel into the diesel heater, and it was actually becoming quite annoying, and quite a few folk have mentioned about the dosing pump being quite noisy. So I got a little rubber bush fitted on it, because the dosing pump, everything is actually underneath the chassis of the van. It's all on the outside, not on the inside. So it makes such a difference. When this fan quietens down, you will not hear the ticking noise at all from the dosing pump. And the fuel is actually being fed directly from the fuel tank of the van. It's a T-piece, and it's been cut into the actual fuel line of the van itself, so that's where the diesel supply is coming from. It's not coming from a separate container. So the diesel heater's on and running now, and it's ramping up to get as much heat as we can. Don't know if you'll be able to see underneath there. You might be able to see where the exhaust is of the diesel heater. It'll actually quieten down once it actually gets to a reasonable temperature. Okay, now let's check the temperature, and we're at 14.5 degrees. And let's have a look at the controller, if we can see it in this light. These controllers are actually quite dim, so they're not the easiest of things to see, but maybe the reason for that is so that it's not really bright at night time if you're keeping the heater on. So that's taken 45 minutes to get to that temperature, and you can hear now that the fan is just ticking away at its lowest speed, lowest setting, and we're still getting some really nice warm air coming out of there. And I can only just hear a very faint ticking noise from the dosing pump, but it's very faint indeed. So overall, the diesel heaters, they work great. They really are. They don't use that much diesel. I'm sure I read somewhere that really sort of like, if you can imagine the size of a can of Coke, 330ml, is roughly what it uses an hour. But the thing I have noticed with it is that I assumed that it would be like a central heating thermostat in a house, that once it's actually got to the temperature that you've set it to, so I've set it to 14 degrees, and look at it just now, it's just constantly, it just keeps rising. That's now 14.8, and it's just on its slow fan setting and just ticking away. But what it will do is it will just actually, that heat will just keep increasing and increasing until it gets to a point where it's just too warm in here. You'll either have to turn off the heating here from the controller and just switch it down, or you'll have to open a window or something, let some ventilation in. But personally, I don't think I could actually sleep with that running during the night, because I think it would probably make the air too dry. Maybe you could sleep with it if you had a window just opened ever so slightly, but yeah, I'd be inclined to turn it off and then just have it set for a time to come on in the morning, or just manually turn it on. So now temperature wise, we're up at 15.8 degrees, 15.9, we're climbing. I have put the heater up 2 degrees, and that's why the fan is kicked in. It's a bit noisy, is because you're you're wanting to get this heated up quicker. So once it goes a degree over the set temperature, then the fans will start to actually slow down to their very low setting, just a very slow tick over. But now I'm going to shut down the heating system, and I'm going to use my remote fob here. So I don't have to point it at the display, but basically just press it off there. Now you can actually hear the fan kicking into a higher speed. Kicks into a higher speed because it's now going to go down into a cool down mode, shut down mode basically. So what it wants to do is it wants to actually cool that diesel heater in there down slowly so that it gets to the right temperature before it literally switches off the fan completely. And that's very important, because if you were just to switch the power off to your van, the chances are you'll melt the controller board inside that diesel heater, and that's your heater completely wrecked. So you have to go through the proper process. It does take about 5 minutes, and it will just gradually just cool down to get to a point where the fan just switches off, and then you can kill your power completely in your van. Okay folks, so that's basically the diesel heater. That's where I've got my display. It's just on the side there. It's really handy. And again, you've got the remote control here, which you can increase and decrease the temperature settings. Turn it on, you can turn it off from that. Plus it's got a built-in timer and things like that, so you can set it to come on and off, you know, in the morning should you wish it to, or even in the evening if you want to get the van warm, if you're out a walk and you're sort of like heading back. So that's everything there on the diesel heater. Hope that you found it helpful or useful. So thanks for watching. Cheers for now.